So 2017 has been a pivotal year in terms of pulling together all sorts of different entities from across the Shotley Peninsula. We've had community groups, we've had schools, we've had public sector agencies and commercial bodies who have all found a common theme and an interest in the form of Arthur Ransome to celebrate for this year.
It's the 50th anniversary of Ransome's death, and also the 80th anniversary of the book that he wrote about this area called We Didn't Mean to Go to Sea.
The Heritage Lottery Fund are particularly interested in funding heritage messages to children. It was all about helping young people get access to their locality and understand the riverscape, not just the landscape of where they live.
Our joint strategic plan speaks about a positive relationship with our communities and working with them so that they can achieve their potential. We talk about something called an appreciative inquiry, which is a way of looking at assets and attributes that communities have that are positive. And this Arthur Ransome project fell right into that category.
The year has allowed people to come and share those ideas and tell people who live here and people from further afield about what Ransome did in the area. And the area has so many interesting parts that were really encapsulated by Arthur Ransome's writing. So his way of portraying clean, honest fun, of splashing around in the mud, of messing around on boats, is a clear indicator of what people can actually really experience on the Shotley Peninsula.
We proposed that he be the centre of the celebrations for the group this year, and from there on we've just sort of taken it forward with the group in many different ways.
Very privileged to be part of it all. I love local history. I love the connection that Pin Mill has with Arthur Ransome and the whole boat building industry, and just the whole kind of community getting together and celebrating the anniversary of the build of the boat.
We went to the various meetings, and it transpired that if we could organise a parade of sail up down the river, we'd get as many boats following Nancy Blackett as she set off for Holland, that would be quite a spectacle, and that's what we tried to organise. I've always been an Arthur Ransome fan, and as a little boy I read all the books, and I would think a large proportion of the people who sail out of here got into sailing through Arthur Ransome, through having had that fantasy that he portrayed.
I think there's two groups of people, them that love Arthur Ransome and the series of books, the Swallows and Amazon series, but then there's another group of people that had heard of the Arthur Ransome Swallows and Amazons, but didn't really engage and didn't really understand that Arthur Ransome had such a great connection with Suffolk. I've met people down at Pin Mill looking at the information board, and they've said, oh, we're in the process of reading the book now, we're here on holiday, and when we've read it, we're going to do the trail. What more can we ask for? Fabulous.
I think people are really understanding, maybe where he stayed next door at Alma Cottage, maybe why the book was based there, the fact that he had boats built locally. So I think people are understanding his connection more with the area and why he loved it so much.
Being involved in this project for us has been a perfect opportunity to sort of show how the council can work across all of its different departments and teams, and also just sort of stimulating the community and the businesses to get involved together.
So work with the community and say, look, there's this opportunity here to apply for funding. What would you like to see happen? And so we very much wanted, the whole essence of what took place to come from the ground up. The applicants were all local not-for-profit organisations.
We've got some great businesses and attractions that have been really proactive, and really great community organisations that have also got involved.
I've seen a lot of people walking around with visitor guides and doing the walks. We may not be Wordsworth or Shakespeare or anything like that, but we do have our own little gem now in this corner of Suffolk.
I'm sure that there's been a few more people coming down to Pin Mill. I mean, the actual Arthur Ransome jamboree that we had, I think we saw a few thousand people come during the day.
We've made lots of friends amongst the local community, amongst the sailing community, amongst the schools, amongst people in the area.
I think everybody enjoyed the Pin Mill events, where we saw those amazing pictures and also experienced, what boats looked like in those days and the children running about the village. That was a real highlight.
The Arthur Ransome celebrations for us has been really helpful because we've been looking for extra attractions to bring walkers to Shotley. A leaflet was produced. This is the Arthur Ransome Walking Trail leaflet, and it follows the route of the Goblin, which was the boat in which the children sailed in the novel. And that is a guide that helps people as they walk along the trail with references and extracts from the book.
At the concert that was held at the Ipswich High School, we had the London Sinfonia Orchestra that came to work with the children.
And so the songs sort of follow Arthur Ransome's book in as much as it starts leaving the river and goes out to sea. We get lost a bit and we find our way again. So it follows that path and the trials and tribulations along the way.
Everybody's been very enthusiastic, especially about the way it binds the community together, the different demographics, the different schools, the different age groups. It's a real community event.
And we've had schools coming down to visit Nancy Blackett. They really responded and it was just a joy to be with them.
Today we are at Pin Mill on a geocache treasure hunt.
It's like a treasure hunt, like the Goonies, just treasure hunting, following the map thingy.
I've lived around this area for nearly 3 years now. I've never been down here before. Didn't even know it existed until today, but I do now.
Inside the box are lots of things to read and do, and best of all, stamp your card to say that you found the treasure.
We all enjoy living here because it's next to the rivers, and seeing the Ransome activities on the rivers have been a real highlight of the year.
We have always been keen on bringing primary schools down here, so we took them out. Pretty much everybody who wanted to took the helm, and by the end their water confidence had dramatically improved.
We got over 65 children out. They all came back with big smiles on their faces and it was really good. I think it's done a great thing for the village, the area and Arthur Ransome.
5 primary schools across the peninsula worked with the local artist Ruth Richmond to create illustrations inspired by Arthur Ransome. These were then transferred onto sails and the children were provided with the opportunity to sail on the River Orwell. The children visited the Nancy Blackett boat, which was owned by Arthur Ransome and featured as the Goblin in the book We Didn't Mean to Go to Sea.
The Royal Harwich Yacht Club organised a flotilla of yachts to see us off down the river, which was quite spectacular.
A good 30-odd boats turned up, some boats that we weren't really anticipating turned up.
We put on support at the Arthur Ransome event at Pin Mill, which was very, very successful. My only problem was I never got to see anything happening on shore. It's on the water all the time.
We had a little stall where we sell souvenirs, books and so forth, and that, in all the 20 years we've been doing that kind of thing, it was the most successful financial day that we've ever had. And it was good fun as well.
We know there's economic development going on here, and every weekend you can see more and more people coming down to have a look. So yes, the future is definitely bright.
My favourite moment was at the Jamboree and the vintage cinema bus, where they'd got some of the old Patho films, and it was showing all how it used to look so many, many years ago, and it obviously was evoking lots of memories from the people that were watching it.
We're at Pin Mill on the Orwell, where the book We Didn't Mean to Go to Sea begins. It was published 80 years ago, and we're really excited because today we're doing a marathon reading. We're reading through the whole entire book.
The story starts at Pin Mill and finishes at Pin Mill, so it is key. It couldn't really be read anywhere else.
This is the first time I've been in Pin Mill Sailing Club, I think, since I was 10. Although I've come to Pin Mill a lot, and we're here for a reading of Arthur Ransome's We Didn't Mean to Go to Sea, which is a sort of relay reading in which everybody's reading a chapter of this seminal sailing book.
The Bristol Arms offered to host a party for children to support the Pier project and to support the Arthur Ransome themed walk.
So yeah, it's a conclusion of a really successful festival, and I think thanks should go to a lot of the backroom staff who are unnamed, unseen, but have done a tremendous job in pulling it all together.
The important thing about this book for Arthur Ransome is it's the one book that's for real. In all the other books, they play around at being pirates and swallows and Amazons and all this stuff. This is for real.
Well, I think it's been quite innovative because I've lived here for 20 years, and the tourist action group that we got together to celebrate this year, I'd never met most of those business people, and the cultural events that were going on together, somehow it's united us and made us feel like a team. It's been really interesting to see that evolve.
Well, I think you've only got to really look back at the footage from our year to measure that impact. I mean, it's interesting how one does measure it. I mean, do you look at it on commercial terms, so how much money this tourism activity has brought into the area, or do you look at it on the PR value that is created from various pieces that have been in national press in terms of raising the profile for the area? Or perhaps more importantly, it is around the social cohesion and the community groups, and right down to that personal feel-good factor, or whether there is a well-being improvement to the area. Those are all different measurements, and they need to be taken into account when we look back to see how successful the year has been.
What we've seen in the last year, through the work done by Suffolk County Council, Bayber District Council through their communities team, and the Shotley Peninsular Tourist Action Group, the catalyst that set us on the trail, looking at Arthur Ransome, looking at the Walking Festival, looking at Walkers Are Welcome, and we made those things happen because of the way the council's introduced us to those initiatives. So it's very much a partnership, and we hope and expect that to continue.
It's got us all in one room talking about Arthur Ransome, but also more importantly knowing about each other's business, and there are lots of follow-on legacies that are going to come out of having this initiative.
Communities working together with the people within their communities to deliver something tangible that was really, really positive, a positive demonstration of what this beautiful part of the country is all about.
The one bit that we shouldn't forget about is actually how the public sector agencies have supported the community, both community groups and business groups in the area, and that has been a clear benefit for this year.
It's brought Arthur Ransome's East Coast alive, and hopefully it will go on being a successful partnership and something that people enjoy and take part in for a long time to come.